How is everybody doing? Hope you're all well. In this video, I'm going to tell you about how I learned to love Queen. Queen are probably one of my favourite bands of all time, not only because their music is brilliant, but because they were also a fantastic live act, and Freddie Mercury was an incredible vocalist and possibly one of the greatest frontmen ever and one of the greatest performers on stage. So now I'm only going to go through the albums in Freddie Mercury's lifetime. There's been lots of product since he died in 1991. So this is my story on how I got into Queen and when I bought the albums and what impact they had on me and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, the first time I think I ever saw Queen was on Top of the Pops in 1979, and it was Don't Stop Me Now. It was the video that you can see on the greatest flicks and stuff like that. I think that was shown on Top of the Pops in 1979, and I remember just the dynamic of it. It just, I remember that it having an impact. Number one, it's a great song, it's very catchy, and it races along. And I know the video was a bit kind of one-sided because the director has the camera on Freddie most of the time. But it just sounded, it was kind of a demonic thing going through it. I remember the stage had all the lights and stuff like that. You know, their light show was pretty spectacular back in the 70s. But I remember hearing it on Top of the Pops and seeing it, and it was, you know, I kind of, it stuck in my head. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, I remember seeing that as well. That was out, I think, in late 79. And I thought that was quite funny. But it was very catchy again, you know, it was kind of a throwback to the rockabilly kind of style stuff. Remember, Elvis had died in 77, and Mercury was a big fan of Elvis. And there was a lot of people coming out with rock and roll stuff at the time. And yeah, Crazy Little Thing Called Love was, I remember the video was kind of cheeky as well, you know, the dancers and stuff like that. It was done in studio. It's a throwback to Grease and stuff like that. So there was a throwback at the time. Next, I think, was it early 1980, I saw Save Me, and that was quite a touching ballad. That was again on Top of the Pops. So I was there was a bit of a pattern. I was honing in on Queen a bit, but then I don't remember anything after that, I'll be totally honest. I know Another One Bites the Dust was a big hit in 1980. But no, it just, Flash Gordon, that came out, I only saw it in 1981 during the summer. And I remember the theme tune to that as well, yeah, Queen. After that, 81, Under Pressure. I don't really remember that, I'm going to be totally honest. I don't remember Under Pressure. And people used to say to me in the mid-80s when I got into Queen, how come you never, I was probably living under a rock or something like that. I mean, there was a lot of good music out in, you know, Queen were around a decade in 1981, over a decade. There was a lot of fantastic music in 1981 in the early 80s. So anyway, I don't really remember much. I remember, okay, 84, Radio Gaga was a huge hit. I actually liked that as well. And then I Want to Break Free came out soon after. And then, what was the other song that came out? It's a Hard Life. And Hammer to Fall. I remember, yeah, all the singles from The Works, their 1984 album, and then Thank God It's Christmas, that was a non-album single. But again, you know, Band Aid overshadowed everything, and other bands were coming along at the time, like U2 and stuff, and there was a lot of 80s pop that was very, very big. But in September 84, I was walking home from school, and the melody for Love Kills was going through my head. It was a Freddie Mercury solo single. I think it was probably his first. I know Larry Lyrics and stuff in the early 70s, but Love Kills, I remember the vocal on that. You know, his vocal on it, And it was kind of a, you know, a little electronic, because it was done with Giorgio Moroder. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. And that stuck in my head. And then every time I heard, like, then Thank God It's Christmas came out. And of course, like, you know, in discos and stuff like that, in nightclubs, you'd hear, you know, Radio Gaga and Crazy Little Thing Called Love, school discos and stuff like that, because I was only 15. And then I heard that, and I was thinking, yeah, I really like the music. And, you know, I decided that, yeah, I want to hear more of their music. So February, March 1985, a friend of mine in school, I had some type of a helmet for sport, I can't remember, and he gave me a loan of Queen The Works on cassette. And after about 2 weeks, it was in my Walkman. I nearly wore it out. I absolutely loved it. I loved the sound, the production, May's guitar especially, you know what I mean? I knew I was onto something, you know. It was the vocal, you know, what's not to like about Queen, you know. It's the complete package, you know, rock, guitar, fantastic vocals, great songs. And anyway, I said, oh look, there's your cassette, after about a month. And he said, no, he said, like, you can have it for the helmet. So I said, yeah, cool. So then about a month later, so that was the Works, sorry. There it is, that's the Works. So like the Works, like I'm after going through the singles already, is a great album. I think it's one of their best of the 80s, to be honest with you. But then I was asking people, do you have any Queen albums and stuff like that, you know, bumming and stuff like that. And a guy I knew, he was a DJ. He used to DJ at the discos and stuff like that, for the school discos and stuff. And he had Queen Greatest Hits on cassette, and he gave it to me. And I said, yeah, how much? And he says, look, £2. So I gave him £1. I had £1 in my pocket, I gave it to him. And took it home. I think it was on Easter break. Started listening to it, and it was, like Bohemian Rhapsody, Another One Bites the Dust, Killer Queen, Fat Bottom Girls, Bicycle Race, You're My Best Friend, Don't Stop Me Now, Save Me. Of course, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Somebody to Love, Blew Me. Now I'm Here, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. Like the variety of music, Play the Game, Flash, Seven Seas of Rye, We Will Rock You, We're the Champions. I think every night going to bed I was listening to it on my Walkman. Big old Academy Walkman with 4 batteries. It only lasted, I was fleeced from batteries. Batteries were like petrol back then, really expensive, you know, to keep up a Walkman. But I was just blown away by this Queen's Greatest Hits. And you know, everybody's heard this, it's a big seller. That was the thing. And that was it, I was hooked. And I thought, you know, everybody was into U2, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But, and then, you know, the hip people were into the Smiths, Echo and the Bunnymen. But that was it, I was hooked. And it was for me, Queen. And I knew nothing about them really. You know, I just thought they sounded fantastic. Greatest Hits was amazing. So, what did I get next? Summer 1985, now we're talking, I'm only 16. I bought A Night at the Opera on cassette, and about June 1985, early June, and I took it home. I went to the next big town, city, to get it, bought the cassette, and went home, played it, was lying on my bed playing it, and I was blown away. I mean, what an album, you know, to hear for the first time when you're 16. It is just fascinating. It is their masterpiece anyway, there's no doubt about that. I've got lots of videos on Queen's material, lots of videos if you want to check out the channel. But yeah, Getting Two Legs, Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon, I'm in Love with My Car, You're My Best Friend, that was the single. 39, Sweet Lady, Seaside Rendezvous, and then the Prophet song. The Prophet song. If you've never heard the Prophet song, just get onto Spotify or any of that kind of thing. And yeah, Love of My Life, Good Company, Bohemian Rhapsody, and then of course the God Save the Queen, the national anthem. Incredible. Loved it. Absolutely. You know, it was like a trip. Every time I just lie in the bed, listen to it. After that, by late June, Date the Races, I bought a cassette. That was the next one for me. Loved it, really did. It kind of, loved it. Again, it's kind of like a companion piece to opera. Some people say it's not as good, but I think it's a strong album. Time Out It Down, Take My Breath Away, absolutely love that. Long Away, kind of reminds me of the Eagles a bit, like it was never my favourite. Millionaire Waltz, exceptional. You and I, Somebody to Love, White Man, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, Drowse, and then Tia Toriate. This is a serious Queen album. So for me that was it. I was hooked. I had to get more and more. July '85, News of the World. Yeah. Again, I remember going to the city, getting it with my father, and it was a Friday, and he was getting holidays from work, and we drive back, and he was just going into the pub to get one pint, as he did back then, into the pub, and I sat outside in the car and listened to News of the World in my Walkman, my first time hearing it, and I loved it. Rock You Champions is on it, other good stuff on it, like Get Down Make Love. I thought it was very spooky at the time, you know what I mean? Mercury's Noise is on it and stuff. It's Late, Melancholy Blues, loved them all. Spread Your Wings, John Deacon track, essential. That was it. I was kind of moving along nicely. What did I get next after that? I'm just trying to think. These are all on cassette now, remember, so yes, I remember what next. I definitely heard jazz. I borrowed a cassette off a friend of mine. The cassette was a bit damaged, it sounded muddy or something, I'm not sure, but jazz, I liked it at the time. I thought it was a bit long, and there was a couple of songs in it that I thought were a bit boring, and I still do, like Funnest. But other than that, like, there's some classics on it. Jealousy, Mustafa, oh my god, amazing. Let Me Detain You, brilliant. Don't Stop Me Now is on the chorus. Leaving Home Ain't Easy, in Only 7 Days. Yeah, it's still a good album. People say that it was kind of their first kind of dodgy one after their classic albums, but it's kind of a transitional one, all right, without a doubt. But it's kind of in the past and also in the present at the time. That was that. Then I think I went along and bought, on the same day, August 1985, I was after seeing Queen and Live Aid on the TV as well, and I was walking on here because everybody was saying, all my friends, like, oh, Queen and Live Aid, they stole the show, we never realised they were so good, and of course, I was top of the class at the time with Queen, because I had, 4 or 5 Queen albums at the time, and it was amazing. I bought these on the same day. Now, I didn't really warm to the debut. It took a long time to grow on me. To me, it was kind of a bit old-fashioned sounding because it was recorded around 1970, 71. And it's, a lot of people say they copied Zeppelin at the time, but it's kind of, it's I'd say, I won't call it hard rock, but it's classic rock, it's got that distorted guitars and stuff like that, and, it's kind of almost a product of the late 60s, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, that kind of riffs and stuff like that, But again, like, it's a good album, it's a good album. Queen 2 was a move on. This is a more of a concept, with the black side and the white side. Again, I thought this was very strange, very strange at the time. I kind of thought it was a bit weird, I was only 16, remember. And, there's a big influences here, like For the Sun is incredible. I love White Queen. For the Sun as well has a kind of a passage, I've mentioned this before, sounds like the Beach Boys, and also Funny How Love Is, very Beach Boy-esque, and there's a Phil Spector touch on it as well. Ogre Battle is on it, and also The March to the Black Queen, which is crazy Freddie Mercury track. I like Lose Renee as well, the Roger Taylor track on it. Again, it's a masterpiece of, classic rock, but I think the band knew that they had to change. Soon after that, I bought, I'll tell you actually what I bought. I bought Hot Space around September, October 85, bought Hot Space, and the cassette was flawed. When I played it back, it kept there was the volume kept going out every 10 seconds. It would just dip and come back, dip and come back. There's a faulty duplicate. And I kind of liked it, but again, it was a million miles away from the other Queen stuff. It was kind of more modern. Like staying power, I was thinking, God, I was, at the time it sounded like, yeah, what is this? It's not like the works, which I loved, and it's not like the old stuff, which I love now at this time. I thought it was a bit different, yeah. This has been slated, but in retrospect, it's it's a great Queen album. I love it. Great vocals by Mercury on this album as well. Under Pressure is on it. Body Language. Yeah. Life is Real, Song for Lennon is great. And Calling All Girls, I love that. And Las Palabras, Stay More was a great track. So I had that, took it back, and of course I didn't have another copy in the shop. So what did they give me? An even better album, and that was Sheer Heart Attack. And this is another masterpiece. It's an essential Queen album. Brighton Rock, Killer Queen, Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, Lily of the Valley, Now I'm Here, which is Brian May's, it's definitely the best song he wrote ever. It's just a fantastic song. In the Lap of the Gods, Stone Cold Crazy, Dear Friends, Misfire, Bring Back That Leroy Brown, comedy. She Makes Me, I always thought that was a bit kind of strange. And then In the Lap of the Gods Revisited. It's one of the best Queen albums, definitely in the top 5. I mean. So that was that. And that takes us up to most of 1985. I'd say I borrowed Live Killers, which I don't have here because these are all the 2015 half-speed masters actually, and I just grabbed these. But Live Killers I borrowed and taped, and I liked it. I thought it was good. I did eventually buy it on cassette in 1986 in the summer, but that takes us to 1986, which is a special year because this was when A Kind of Magic was released. It was my first time being into the band when they were actually releasing an album, and I ran up and bought it. But I also bought a ticket for Slane Castle, so that means I saw Queen live in Slane Castle on July 5th, 1986. One Vision had been out since the autumn of 1985. Then A Kind of Magic was released, and then Who Wants to Live Forever. So 1986 was Queen's year. 1985 was their year really, when they stole Live Aid. But 1986 was Queen's year. Again, unfortunately, it was the last tour. Nobody knew that at the time. Mercury was ill, and A Kind of Magic. Looking back, it's nowhere near as strong as it's not as strong as the works. To me, I think it's not even as strong as Hot Space. I prefer Hot Space than this album. For me now, I don't really listen to it that much. There's 3 or 4 fantastic songs in it, but there's a bit of filler on it. So yeah, that was it. What else happened in '86? At the end of the year, they released. I bought the Game as well during the summer, but I also had that in cassette from a friend of mine in '85. But Game I loved. Very quick, concise. It's only 35 minutes or something. 4 massive singles on it. Play the Game, Another One Bites the Dust, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Save Me. And of course there's other good stuff on it. Dragon Attack is great. Lead Your Love Tonight. Don't Try Suicide, Rocket. This is a good one. Enjoyable. It's a quick burst of Queen. And then, what else did I get? This is '86 now. I bought the Live Magic on cassette in 1987. By then, Mercury was after releasing The Great Pretender, and the band were working on solo projects and stuff like that. So there was nothing much then in '87, '88. Barcelona came along. Freddie Mercury and Montserrat Caballé. And so I was a firm fan at this stage. I think I bought Greatest Hits on compact disc in July 1988. It was my first ever compact disc. Cost me £18. It was a lot of money back then. It was the Red Face CD, which was made in Japan, I think. And I bought Love Over Gold by Dire Straits the same day. That was £36 I spent on CDs. I mean, that's a lot of money back then, So anyway, Roll on 1989. You know, the Mercury Barcelona stuff I never really got into at the time. And then all of a sudden, in summer, I think it was May 1989, this came out, and I ran up and bought it the day it came out on compact disc. I remember it, the box coming into the shop. I just came in and said, this Queen's new album out. And they said, oh no. Next minute, the man courier came in with the box, and I got the Miracle, and of course, like, you know, immediately ran home with the CD, taped it, put on my Sony Walkman cassette player, and loved it at the time. And then I kind of fell out of favour with it, because by the end of 1989, you know, there was 5 singles off this. I Want It All, The Miracle, The Invisible Man, Breakthrough. I bought them all as they came along on CD single. But by Christmas, when The Miracle came out, Christmas 1989, Mercury looked kind of frail and stuff like that. And then I thought, oh God, and there was no tour being discussed. So then I thought, yeah, there was rumours going around at that stage. So sadly, yeah, we're moving up now to 1990. And again, nothing much happening. The odd photographs in magazines, and then they were talking about Freddie and HIV and stuff like that, and all that kind of tragic stuff. So yeah, really from here on, it was just kind of a waiting game. And then in January 1991, Innuendo was released as a single, and then the album came out. And again, I bought that in compact disc, and I really liked it. I thought it was a bit long, there's 12 tracks on it. But again, Innuendo, it was a great swan song, really, in Mercury's lifetime. And Innuendo itself is fantastic. I'm Going Slightly Mad, it's fantastic. Headlong, that's okay. These Are the Days of Our Lives, brilliant. Don't Try So Hard, I love that. Ride the Wild Wind, I love that one as well. All God's People, that's kind of a leftover from the, what you call it? The one with Barcelona, I think it was Mike Moran and Freddie. I Can't Live With You, it's not bad. And Delilah, it's to Freddie's Cats. The Hitman, I never really liked that. I think it goes on and on and on. Mercury feels strained on that one. You can his voice sounds strained. Bijou, it's a kind of slow little one. And then the Majestic, The Show Must Go On. That was released as a single, and then unfortunately on the 24th of November, 1991, Freddie passed away. But Greatest Hits had just come out before he passed, and that's Greatest Hits 2. By the way, sorry. And again, all their singles from 1981 up to when he died, and then Bohemian Rhapsody was released as a single, got to #1 again. So yeah, that was it. Unfortunate. But in 85, Mercury released Mr. Bad Guy, his first solo album. And that wasn't popular. It kind of died, like, which is strange, because they played Live Aid. He released I Was Born to Love You. That got into the top 10. Made in Heaven got into the top 20, I think, barely. And again, great songs. And, you know, that was it, really. That was the end of Queen. There was, like I said, it was Live at Wembley was released on vinyl, cassette, CD in 92. And after that, then by 95, they released Made in Heaven. But that was after he died and stuff. And they used some of the songs from Mr. Bad Guy now. So, all in all, that's my Queen trip. No, I had everything by them, all the singles, all the 12 inches, all the 7 inches and stuff, I'd say. All the albums 3 times, all the remastered stuff. But they are probably, you know, a fantastic band, and they have a huge following. Probably one of the most popular bands of all time. I would say that as musicians, all fantastic. John Deacon wrote a lot of the hits. Brian May wrote a lot of the hits. So did Mercury, and Roger Taylor as well. I mean, he wrote lots of their songs that were hits. But yeah, that's it really for me. That's the trip. I hope I've covered everything in this video. You know, and it's time for tea cake. Yeah, amazing band, and certainly we're getting into. And I've spent a fortune on Queen music, all the box sets and everything over the years. There's lots of videos on Queen on my channel. If you dig in, just type in Crazyization Queen, and you'll see there must be at least 40 or 50 Queen videos. Reviews, box sets, vinyl CD, blah blah blah. So these are good. That's it really. That's all we got time for. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and take care.